Welcome and thank you for listening on the second episode of the Dynamic podcast with me as your host, Jack Wilson. Today, I have the honor of having a friend and fellow chiropractor today, Branko Bojanic. I hope I didn't butcher that. I hope I didn't butcher that. So, Branko, just to get stuck in, with the first question of today, what introduced you to chiropractic? Why did you choose to become a chiropractor?
Hey Jack, thanks for having me, by the way. Yeah, so you didn't do too bad on the pronunciation.
Awesome.
So I think, to be honest, I was never like a lot of people have like a story. They went and saw a chiropractor when they were young, had amazing results. I never really had that miracle or that experience. And I think I just, things looking back at it now, I think things just sort of lined up in my life that ultimately led me to chiropractic. So I've got a couple cousins who are chiropractors, and obviously speaking to them as I was growing up, always seemed like a cool thing to do. And then I remember I was at that time where I was about to apply for university or college. And, chiropractic was just down at the local university. So just applied for that, got in, went for it. And, just being observed. Then I went and actually observed my cousins who are chiropractors and just went in and was blown away, saw the amazing life changes that were happening, how they practice, and could tell that I wanted to do that straight away.
Amazing. Oh, that's a great story. I love that. And with education over in Australia, what was most profound to you?
I think at the time I didn't really know. Looking back on it now in retrospect, it's when I was there, it was great. I loved it. There's some amazing people, amazing teachers. But I think looking back at it now, just to see, look, college is great if you're one sort of chiropractor or you have one sort of mindset, one sort of beliefs, and want to practice in that way. But I think if you want another set of beliefs or want to practice in another way, it doesn't really expose you to that side of chiropractic or true chiropractic. So I think it was great, but going through uni, there's obviously a lot that they don't teach you and that you need to do for yourself, essentially.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's interesting that you say that because other people that I've spoken to as well are very much on the same wavelength. I think university, personally, my views, university, and this is nothing against different chiropractic colleges, but obviously they have a set amount of standards that they need to teach us. So there is very much that, they kind of they give you all the information that you need in order to graduate and obviously get you through college. But there's not that element of this is what you need in order to really succeed in being a chiropractor, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And it's like, like I feel like education as a whole is there to design to teach you how to think for yourself. And I think a lot of it is trying to, rather than teach you how to think or how to think for yourself, it's trying to teach you what to think, and a certain type of mind frame or belief system, which again, looking back on it now, it's tough. It's tough coming out of that and then going out into the real world of chiropractic, and it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's really important that we get as much information out there for everyone, everyone listening in, and just so they get an idea of what to expect before coming out into the real world after college. So, which leads me on nicely to my next question. So, did you do a clinic year before graduating?
Yeah. So we spent our last year in clinic, adjusting, treating.
And how do you find that differs between when you actually started working in Australia?
Oh, totally different. I think, yeah, so it was totally different just because of the type of job it was. So I went to quite a vitalistic side job. I was amazing, had the amazing opportunity to work alongside an amazing company where I worked with a colleague. There was us two in the practice, but then also a load of clinics that we all spoke with, consulted with, and had training with everyone. So it's just totally different. And I think I was lucky in that sense because I had that difference. But yeah, it's just totally different.
Nice, love that. And since coming over to the UK, obviously, granted, you haven't been over here for like a massive amount of time, but in comparison to working in Australia and here in the UK, what have you noticed? What's the biggest difference for you?
I think it's very similar working in Australia and the UK. I think especially with the two organizations that I've been working with, they're very, very similar. I think Australia and England, or the UK as a whole, tend to the profession tends to be more of that mechanistic side, from what it seems. So working in that vitalistic side of it, you tend to feel like the minority, but same thing with Australia. But I like that, and that's a good thing. And I think, yeah, working here in Australia is very much similar, to be honest.
Awesome, I love that. And is there, on the subject of like mechanism and vitalism, are there many mechanistic chiropractors in Australia, or is it predominantly vitalistic?
It's interesting. I would say predominantly mechanistic. So when I was talking about this school, that's all they teach you, in especially at the university that I went to. So to come out into the real world, it's interesting. I always thought it was more mechanistic, but then as I get to speak to more and more chiropractors, and even if they practice in a mechanistic way, I feel like chiropractors have this overall sense of vitalism to them, even in their personal lives, right? So it's interesting. I'd say majority mechanistic, but yeah, it's bigger than you think, and the principles and the ideas are way more common than, number one, uni teaches you, and number two, what you think is out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, completely agree. And it's interesting that you say that, because you always find that no matter how far you are on the spectrum in regards to mechanism and vitalism, even if you are vitalistic, and I look back on my own experience because I come from a very mechanistic background, to now being more on the vitalistic side of things, that there's always that element of vitalism, no matter how mechanistic that you apply your knowledge and your treatment to patients. There's always going to be that element, and I feel that more. I think vitalism is growing more here in the UK. I don't feel there is still very much, I think there is more mechanistic style chiropractors here in the UK, but it's definitely growing on the vitalistic spectrum. And I think that's because it's just more appealing to people. And personally, for myself, since practicing from a vitalistic standpoint, I've seen way more positive changes in people's lives. Which, one question I love to ask is, have you seen, or do you have a favorite, I guess you could say, chiropractic miracle that you've seen happen, or have you got more than one? I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about all of them. So
Yeah, you see, so I think, oh man, there's loads of miracles, I'm a big believer of every single adjustment you give is a miracle, right? And all these miracles you see Um, I think miracle is a bit of a interesting word, because every adjustment's a miracle, but all these changes you see that are a miracle are just out of our depth of understanding, right? Or out of the medical's models' depth of understanding. So probably one of my favorite miracle stories ever is how chiropractic begun, right? DD Palmer adjusts the janitor, and after a few sessions restores his hearing. Like, how many times have you seen someone who's come in, has had better hearing, has had better eyesight, right? One of my patients or practice members came in, and they been progressively getting worse and worse eyesight. They went to the optometrist after a certain amount of time, and it was the first time the optometrist was shocked, and actually reduced the what's it called, the glasses. So it's like, to have that change, you see all these miracles, but really it's just the body working the way it should, and
Absolutely.
all those miracles are normal. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Or
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think that's something that needs to be shared more often, is miracles that we see, especially inside the clinics. I don't think they're shared enough, because it's, obviously we both went to Chiro Europe, and there everyone speaks so freely of the miracles that they see within their clinic. It's just, different things clearing up. It's and it's not that we claim to treat those ailments or those conditions. It's just a matter of clearing the body of any interferences and just allowing it to do what it needs to do in terms of healing, and just thriving at its fullest potential. Right.
yeah.
And I don't think we talk enough about these miracles within chiropractic. I think if we did, who knows where we would be now. Right? It's funny, I was only just talking to a friend yesterday on the phone, and he was telling me about the changes that he saw cognitively within these two patients that they seen. And one, their word recall improved, and another one's memory improved. And it was just like, or no, it was their personality change that actually got better. And it was just, you don't see that often.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you look out for it as well, right? Like at uni, they teach you, all right, chiropractic is a treatment for neck pain, back pain, headaches. That's all you focus on. That's all you're going to see, right? So if you, again, and when you try and look for other changes, you get ostracized or beaten down against, right? So it's like, no, your body is much more capable than you think, than we know, than science, than medicine knows as well. And it's just about giving it the right nutrients, clearing it, allowing it to work to its full potential. And anything can happen, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Who knows until you try, right?
Absolutely.
Until that person gets under chiropractic care, gets adjusted with love and good energy, who knows what can happen.
That's it.
Yeah. Since you've come out of education and since you've been working, what would be some of the main advice you would give to someone, give to a student, I suppose, prior to graduating?
Prior to graduating. So there's a few things. I think biggest thing is just exposure to whatever type of chiropractor you want to be, right? So whether that's mechanistic, vitalistic, in the middle, whatever it is, it's about finding what resonates with you and what principles you adhere to. And it's just exposing. I think we live in probably one of the best times ever. And I know they say every 10 years to be a chiropractor. There's loads and loads of stuff on the internet. Like for me, every time I listen to Reggie Gold, it just lights a fire, and it just resonates with me so much. There's loads of other stuff, Sigafus, even modern day chiropractors. There's loads of stuff on the internet that you can just watch, and you can have mentors without ever meeting the person, right? And I know that's what's happened with me with Reggie Gold. I think the biggest one is one of the first jobs you take outside of uni. Make sure, again, it's congruent with what you believe. Make sure you've got a good mentor, whether that's in the company itself or there's, again, loads of coaches out there. I think going through uni, I probably had too big an ego, and I wanted to and the reason I say that, I wanted to make it for myself, right? I wanted to be my person, make it for myself. And just looking back, it's so silly, right? You can, as they say, stand on the shoulders of the giants. People have done this thousands and thousands of times over, and just exposing yourself to them, doing what they do, finding something, what other successful people do that resonates with you is the best way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because since I left college, going back to, you talking about Sigafus and also Reggie Gold as well, even before, I think it was even just before I started chiropractic college, I remember watching one of Reggie Gold's lay lectures, and I was just like, damn, that just makes so much sense. But as I actually went through college, it wasn't until after I actually graduated that, the stuff about Reggie Gold and Sigafus, God, who else is there? Actually looking more into stuff about BJ and DD, I didn't really touch upon any of that. I didn't really touch any of the green books. I didn't look into any of the, the 33 principles. There was none of that. I didn't get taught any of that in the college that I went to. And the college that I went to was supposed to be, or was deemed, probably one of the more vitalistic, I guess you could say, chiropractic colleges within the UK. And that was just stuff I just didn't touch upon at all. But and fast forward to the day that we're in, or the days that we're in now. Again, there are some people out there doing some incredible work. There's Tom Waller. He's popping up. He's doing some great things. He's throwing out loads of content out there. He's doing loads of online courses, which are actually free. So for him to share his knowledge on that extent is amazing. But not only that, obviously we have Mark Hudson and Lynn as well, who do Chiro Europe. I advise anyone and everyone to go to Chiro Europe, because the energy there is just insane. And obviously you got to experience that yourself as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to. And that's the thing, it's great you went to a vitalistic, or more vitalistic school, I should say. I know at my school, the only time we mentioned BJ or DD Palmer, we had one lecture in first year. They put up some slides and said, this is all historical, and it's total nonsense. And it's like, okay, that's what the profession has been built on for over 100 years. And when someone's trying to hide something from you, I think there's usually a deeper meaning, or usually if someone's trying to not get you to read something or see something, it's usually because there's some substance or some truth to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that exposure to the truth that everyone needs. No matter how harsh it is. Obviously it's probably dependent on how you portray that information.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I feel more people need to be exposed to this vitalistic model, or at least give it a try, look into it a little bit further, because it does get bashed quite a lot.
That's the thing, it's not for everyone, right? There's some amazing mechanistic chiropractors out there, right? And there's a time and place for it. But it's just about giving people choice, giving them all the information they need, and just allowing you to find what resonates with you.
Yeah, absolutely. give people the information that they need so they can make the best choice for themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's really important. And I don't regret going to the college that I went to. I think it was great. And the principal there, Christina, she is making absolute waves within the educational aspect of chiropractic. I know everyone's playing their part, but for her to go as far as she has done, it's just absolutely incredible, and I give her all the credit that she deserves. Because I find myself very lucky that I went to that college. I know she's opening up another, or it has opened up in I think in, oh my god, I might butcher this. It's not in, I don't know if it was in Barcelona or in Brazil. I've probably absolutely butchered that information. But yeah, man, it was good. It was good. It's interesting to see the path or different paths that people have taken. Like, for example, with yourself and your cohort that you graduated with, what would you say the split was between going down a vitalistic route versus a mechanistic route?
It's hard to say. I think while we're in at uni, and again, a lot of it is some people have their deeper beliefs, but it's just getting through uni. It was very much, I'd say 95% mechanistic. But again, now, like I feel like over time, chiropractors, I think over time, like if you look at the chiropractors that have been practicing 30, 20, 30, 40 years, right? You don't get too many that do it in that mechanistic model, right? The ones that not only survive, but also thrive and are out there changing the profession, even if they practice in a certain way, their mindset is that. So again, it's hard to say the split. I'd say probably balanced. Yeah. Looking back, like obviously, and I don't see the way that they practice, but from Instagram, from Facebook,
Yeah, absolutely, man. I believe that's the same, very similar split with myself and the colleagues that I graduated with. I think the majority of them have gone down, or from what I know of, the majority of them gone down a more mechanistic standpoint. And again, I'm not going to bash mechanism at all. So, like you said, I truly believe there is absolutely a time and place for it. I think naturally it's what you're drawn to, and again, what resonates with you as well. Like, if you feel that for this individual that the adjustment just isn't enough, maybe they do need a little bit more. Maybe they do need certain exercises. Maybe they need stretching, massage, acupuncture, taping, whatever that may be. As long as it's coming from a place of, yes, this is what the patient needs, and it's coming from good intentions, go for it. Yeah, absolutely. That's what the patient needs. Cool. That's what they need. It's your professional knowledge that is going into their care. If that's what they need, that's what they need. So,
for sure.
What would be your go-to information on being able to expand knowledge on chiropractic, on whether it's the philosophy, the art, or the science?
Yeah, good question. I think, like you said, it's important to split them into the separate funnels or buckets, right? So the philosophy, art, and science. I think in college we learn a lot about the science. We learn a fair bit about the art. So I know the first few years, like my major focus was on that philosophy, just trying to fill that bucket up as much as I can. And again, just listening to Reggie Gold over and over and over. Like if anyone wants the Reggie Gold recordings, just hit me up. I I just play them on my phone whenever I get a chance, you know. I just got back from a Syntropy seminar, so that was really good.
Nice.
So that again works on the art, incorporates the philosophy and science into it as well. But exposure, just trying to do every week, just going over, yeah, and just finding what drives you. I think everyone has their bucket which they rely on more or favor more. So I know for me, it's definitely the philosophy. But, you know, I've seen master adjusters out there, you know, and then they love that art, or master scientists out there that's where they get their fire from. So just finding which one is your strength, going deep on that area, but then also just touching up a few of the others.
Awesome, man. I love this. It's just lighting more of a fire for me, just being able to talk about this. So it's great. On the scope of the Syntropy, like, how did you find that? How do you feel coming away from that? How has that made an impact on your adjusting skills or your mindset?
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. It's just so, number one, it's important to be good at what you do, deliver the goods, be a good adjuster. But then also to think about it so it's congruent with your philosophy. So I love the adjusting from a point of ease. It's just makes so much sense. And yeah, just refining, just practicing. Like, you look at we're professional athletes, right? Like, chiropractors are professional athletes, so you need to train. You know how much I love my football, and it's like, imagine Manchester United or Liverpool just stop training, right? You just every single day you got to train.
Train the strikes, go through the movements every single day, try and find ways of that overloading progression, right? So you just keep on getting better and better every time. I mean, there are some absolutely great adjusters out there. I mean, I had the pleasure of working with a guy in Spain called Danny Sterling. Absolutely an amazing adjuster. You know, he could talk all day, every day about it. Like, it just comes out of his mouth. And like you said, then again, adjusting into a state of ease has made such a huge impact on people's lives, I believe. And just being able to do that and actually take your time and think about it, rather than just rushing into the adjustment and hoping that you get a cavitation out of it. Actually figuring out that, you know, this is the best place to adjust, just makes all the difference.
It's game changing, you know. It's like, and you know, at uni they teach you lock it up, adjust from a place of tension. Just that mindset shift, you know. And that's the thing, you fall into these old patterns, into these ways, and every little thing you do in practice, if you can think about, okay, why am I doing this? What does it achieve? You know, does it make sense based on my principles and my understanding of what this is, you know? and that's never ending as well. There's going to be so many things that change in the future, and you know, it's a never ending process.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's one thing that we need to take in consideration. No matter how good we think we are, there's always that next level.
For sure.
And the information that you can get from other people as well, because let's face it, there are people out there with 10, 15, 20 years plus experience that can share their knowledge. It's like, why wouldn't you listen to that? Why wouldn't you take it on board? And again, like you said, I think it's important that you know, we could go back to, because I know on another podcast, Sig Talks, it's just all Sigafus, and I believe just talking about his whole experience, and I think it's like over like maybe close to like 100 different episodes on there. So imagine just being able to soak in all that information, and where he talks from just a place of pure passion. and intensity. It's great. It's great to listen to. And also another podcast as well, Just Tick by Liz and Loz. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah. I've listened to a few of those. Yeah, really good, really good. I love
Yeah.
my podcasts. Just listening to as much. Another one is Trent Scheidegger has a podcast. He's really good. Just listening to him on repeat. Like I said, we're in the luckiest time. There's so much stuff out there. Yeah.
Just the access of information that we have is just incredible. And I think I've never been in such a profession where if you were to reach out to someone, they're just more than happy to help. They're just like, yeah, and they just give you the day and time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I haven't had the fortune of being in another profession where they're like that.
No. Yeah.
It's like you can go up to like any chiropractor, like, do you mind if I grab an adjustment? They're like, yeah, go for it. Lie down, get you adjusted. Like, they're more than happy to adjust you. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
No matter where you are. Like, and you had that completely again when we're at Chiro Europe.
Yeah. So important.
Yeah. And obviously again, like we both had the honor of listening to Danny Sterling talk. And granted, it wasn't as long as I'd like it to have been, but you can just hear the passion coming from his voice, and he wants to tell his story. Like he wants everyone to know, and just knowing the power of the adjustment and the positive changes and impacts that it can have on people's life is just out of this world.
Remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like as you said, it's about, as we spoke about, it's about finding what resonates. I looked up at when Peter Morgan was talking. I was there, like I was just lit on fire. Like just listening to him, and when you see someone and similar values, and just finding that person that you connect with, and just going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Peter was he was probably one of my favorite speakers at Chiro. Yeah, definitely hope he makes a comeback at some point. Yeah, other than that. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about. I know we've got a little bit of time left. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to squeeze in, or anything that you want to share in particular.
No, I think that's we pretty much covered everything, which was awesome.
Nice.
Just like I think looking back now, especially for students out there, it's the best time to be a chiropractor, but going through uni, it seems like the hardest time.
Yeah.
I feel like one reason for that is historically there's been so much external pressure on chiropractors. We've been called quacks. We've had that fight. We've been not accepted, right? And as we get more and more acceptance, instead of being external conflict, there's so much more internal conflict, right, between the two general sides. So I know there's a few more. So going through uni, it's tough. You're surrounded by, I know in my case, you're surrounded by negativity, pessimism. But just, it's so much, it's best profession in the world. We're so lucky to think the way we do, to have the principles that we do. And I know I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, and once you find that fire, or what lights you up, turns you on, it's the best.
No going back.
Yeah
Absolutely, man. Awesome, thank you. Just before we end the call, if people want to reach out, if they want to follow you on social media, like where can they find you, how can they get in contact with you?
Best place, just go on to Instagram and just type in dr.branko _chiro. Give me a follow, send me a message. If you want anything, just hit us up.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time today. I know it's your day off, so I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, brother. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. We'll speak soon. All right. Take it easy.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.
Thanks, man. Bye.